Today we are looking at Israel, the land in controversy, a biblical approach. And this tells us that it is a biblical study, a Bible study, quite deep and researched with many, many passages of the Bible. The author, Claude Ezagouri, was born in Algeria as a Jew, and he studies different stuff, different things, according to the table of content, understanding the concept of the land as God's land. The land is holy, the land is redeemed. Then the land and its people, married to Israel, sin and faithfulness of Israel, then the promise of the land to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the validity of prophecy. Then the borders, which is a very important part of it. Then chapter 4 is about peace or war, Palestinians and Philistines, a conflict of spiritual nature. Chapter 5 is about God's plan for and through Israel on our land. And it finishes with the nations and the church. And I want to just read a few parts of it. In the introduction, the author says that this book has been written at a time when Israel is being scrutinized and criticized by all the world media. That was published in 2013, but is still very valid. It's no secret that in history, the Jewish people have continually been the focus of attack, physically, culturally, spiritually. There's always been a reason, seemingly, why the Jews deserve torture, deportation, destitution, or even annihilation. He's talking about Hitler and the Second World War, and then the rest, what remains after that. Another passage on page 90 talks about the borders of that land. In our desperate attempts to offer a feasible solution for peace in the Middle East, we are often led to propose a change of borders. However, God never intended for his land to be divided and shrunk, but on the contrary, to extend to wider borders. In Genesis 28 verse 4, he said, "Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread it out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and through your offspring." And again in Micah 7:11, "The day for building your walls will come, the day for extending your boundaries." At the end of chapter 3, on page 104, is quoting what King Farouk of Egypt declared some years back. "The Zionist conquest of Palestine is an affront to all Muslims. There can be no compromise until every Jew is dead and gone." And it's good we avail ourselves about this quote. Let there be no mistake, this mindset still prevails in some Islamic circles involved in the Middle East conflict today. Then in another part of the book, on page 151, is talking about the restoration of Israel, and it has been maturing for decades as an undeniable act of God, although the world does not see it that way. Yet long ago, the Lord had promised Abraham that Israel will become a nation. In Genesis chapter 12, "I will make you into a great nation and will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." And there is another passage on page 174 talking about Zechariah's prophecy that will gradually be fulfilled. Zechariah chapter 8. This is what the Lord Almighty says. In those days, 10 men from all languages and nations will take firm hold of one Jew by the hem of his robe and say, "Let us go with you, because we have heard that God is with you." This is a staggering prophecy that is generally not taught from the pulpit in churches, because it's mind-blowing for preachers that cannot cope with that idea. And later he says, we are still curiously challenged by the following questions. What riches can Jews bring to the nations in the end times? To answer this, we must first bear in mind that although the Jewish people suffered the curse of persecutions, they have always carried with them the God's blessings in many spheres of life. Their obvious propensity to become illustrious in science, music, literature, and finances have made them very successful and has indeed opened many doors to them in many nations. And that is something very, very interesting. And the book ends up with God's plan for that nation, and quoting Prophet Joel chapter 3. In those days and in that time, when I restore the fortunes of Judah and Jerusalem, I will gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. There I will enter into judgment against them concerning my inheritance, my people Israel. For they scattered my people among the nations and divided up my land. A sober reflection. And I encourage you to read that book because it is so anchored in the Bible. And we know that Israel is the only country in the world that has its history in the Bible. The Bible is the history of Israel and its walk with his God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Read that book and you will know a lot of good things that you needed to understand.